So I just want to go ahead and clarify something, as far as people trying to distort and twist narratives. All right. So say you could potentially end up getting married to somebody who has an absolutely psychotic parent. You've tried warning about this parent. You've tried giving the heads up. Try to reasonably look for some semblance of good. Haven't been able to find any. And that parent has actively attempted to destroy your love life. Understand something. If they're doing it from a distance, like if they literally need to keep a physical distance, all right, to attempts to keep trying to manipulate and coerce and try to twist the narrative to make it seem like, your significant other or your soon to be spouse is in agreement with them because the only thing that they need to matter is what they want, just understand something. The factor of a physical distance being there says everything that you need to know. All right? Recognize if your fiance is trying to do what he can to try to find a peaceful ground to, go ahead and, find within the circumstances absolutely tumultuous and just absolutely deranged. It's because they're trying to do what they can to assure that that type of behavior isn't going to go ahead and cause the entirety of your marriage to be miserable. They are trying to go ahead and solve the problem before saying, for the rest of our lives, we're together. Understand, they're trying to say, I am taking the time and investing it into doing what I need to do to go ahead and diffuse the situation the best way possible, because of the fact that at this point it has escalated to a point that it would absolutely be dangerous to go ahead and handle this in person. To try to get it handled so that way you can have a peaceful rest of your lives. Don't downplay the contribution that your fiance is actually putting in to try to get control of the situation. If the father is having to try to manipulate, coerce, and try to destroy your guys' marriage and everything from a distance, understand, their dad is a pussy. Not only is he a psychopath, he's a complete and total pussy. All right? He wouldn't have the balls to go ahead and do it in person because he understands that with how long he poked, prodded, and, provoked, that ultimately there's a chance that his dad literally signed his own fucking death certificate. Okay? So don't automatically assume that, just because the factor that, there's been so much trying to work to sabotage that there's nothing being done in the background to go ahead and get the situation figured out and handled. Because ultimately, if the situation was really unable to be handled, and it's been going on for a long time, it's because of the factor that by this point, every other alternative and option to handle the situation other than violence has been utilized, and at this point, the last resort is violence. And understand, if his dad is a psychopath, all right, ultimately, his dad probably taught him there's no such thing as a fair fight. Just because you're willing to go ahead and put up a fair fight doesn't mean that if you provoke a situation that the other person is going to share that same ideological view. You can go ahead and believe that, need to handle it fist. The other person could end up being like, yeah, I spent about $400 on a gun. I'm not putting that money to waste. You ended up provoking. You threw the first hit. You put me in danger in my life. Now I got to put you down like a dog. All right? So because of understanding how dangerous a circumstance of escalation could end up coming. If his dad is that much of a psychopath and his dad has been provoking for that long, but his dad is doing it at a distance and is too much of a pussy to do it in person, it's because of the factor that his dad knows that if he were to come try to handle the situation himself, he would get absolutely knocked the fuck out. He knows that will be the bare minimum. He also knows the factor that with the years of trying to attempt to, you know, control the situation and try to control his love life, if your fiance is really that fed up with it, it could end up being like, hey, so it's sounding like everyone's about as frustrated with it. So ultimately, it's really sounding like nobody would end up going ahead and turning state's evidence if the situation permanently got resolved. Ultimately, I was trying to go ahead and, give time the opportunity to do what time does. And considering the factor that with how old they are, they damn near got a foot in the grave anyway. I was hoping that time would go ahead and keep me from ending up in a situation that would cause me to get federally indicted, but apparently since we can't go ahead and put a hold on because, need to go ahead and put ultimatums, and acting like there wasn't enough effort put in to fix the situation, that means that this is going to be a constant problem. When meantime, there are some people that have family members that are so fucked up that the only chance that there is for any type of healing within a family dynamic, and literally numerous family members agreeing, is to wait for that fucked up problematic family member to die.